Hey guys, today we'll be comparing the different types of sugar in a battle format, wherein each type of sugar will be scored on the basis of 5 parameters, and the one with the highest point in the end wins. Okay, so let's begin. So the first one is calories, and white sugar, brown sugar, and jaggery. Each of them have 4 calories, just like any other carb, so they will get a neutral 5. Honey, because it has some natural moisture to it, is a bit lower on the calories. It's 3 calories, so it gets a 6. And artificial sweeteners have negligible or 0 calories, so they get a perfect 10 here. The next one is glycemic index. Glycemic index is basically how much that particular food causes an insulin spike in the body. So the lower the glycemic index, the better it is for you, because you will get a sustained amount of energy for a longer period of time. The glycemic index of white sugar is 65, which is on the higher side, so it gets 2 points here. For brown sugar, because of the presence of some molasses, it's slightly lower, which is 64, but not much of a difference, so again 2. Jaggery, because of the presence of trace minerals, the glycemic index is even lower, so it gets 3 here. Honey, because of the presence of higher amount of fructose, the glycemic index is even lower, so it gets a decent 5 here. And artificial sweeteners, because it has no calories, the glycemic index is 0, so it gets a perfect 10 again. So the next parameter is nutrition, and white sugar, as we all know, it has no nutrition, no minerals, no vitamins, nothing, so it gets a 0. Brown sugar, because of the trace amount of molasses present, it has a bit of minerals, so it gets a 1. Jaggery has some minerals in very low amount, like iron, potassium, and calcium, so it gets a respectable 6. Honey has trace amount of minerals, but it is very good in terms of antibacterial enzymes and antioxidants, so it also gets a respectable 6. Artificial sweeteners, just like white sugar, has 0 nutrition, so it gets a 0 here. Okay, so till now we can clearly see that artificial sweeteners with 20 points is clearly ahead from its competition, followed by honey, which is at 17. So let's see, when we compare the cost and safety of these sugars, can honey overtake artificial sweeteners? The next parameter is the cost, and white sugar costs around 45 per kg, and it is the cheapest amongst the lot, so it gets a solid 10 here. The next one is brown sugar, which costs 90 per kg, and it just gives a minimal advantage in terms of trace minerals present because of the molasses, but again it's way cheaper than jaggery and honey, so it gets a decent 6. Jaggery costs 150 per kg, but you also get some decent amount of minerals like iron and potassium, so we'll give it a 5. The next one is honey, which is the most expensive in the lot at 400 per kg, but you get a lot of antioxidants and antibacterial enzymes with it, so it is really helpful when you are sick or recovering, so we'll give it a respectable 3 here. Artificial sweeteners, I use sugar-free, and it costs me around 70 per month, so it gets a solid 8 here. The last parameter is the safety parameter, which is the most important, I feel. And when it comes to this, white sugar and brown sugar are the safest among the lot. The reason being, the scope of adulteration here is almost nil. So they both get a solid 9 here. And when it comes to jaggery and honey, there is a lot of scope of adulteration, and the processing of these sugar is also questionable. So it's always good to go for a reputed brand when you want to buy jaggery or honey, which brings the adulteration aspect very low. So if you go for a good brand, you can give it a solid 8. When it comes to artificial sweeteners, there are primarily 2 major concerns. One is that it causes bloating because it disturbs the gut microbiome. But personally, I have never experienced this because I normally have it in moderation. I just have 1 pellet of sugar-free, or if I'm having Diet Coke, I'll just have 1 can once a day, and that's about it. And I never experienced any kind of bloating because of any artificial sweeteners. And the second one is that, is it a carcinogenic? And studies after studies have confirmed that until unless you're having like tons of it, like 100 cans of Diet Coke daily, it's not going to cause any ill effects. So considering all this, we can give it a decent 6. So now let's compare the results. So as you can see, brown sugar comes in last with 23 points, and second last is white sugar with 26 points. Jaggery finishes third with 27. Honey comes in at second with 28 points, and artificial sweeteners are the winners here. So guys, do you agree with the way I have scored these sugars, or do you have a different opinion, or do you feel some other sugar deserve to win here? Let me know in the comment section, and I'll see you in the next one.